Well, the trouble was that COVID kicked in. I left my job, so I wasn't qualifying for payments from my previous job. I hadn't run my new business for a year or more, so I couldn't get money for that. So I literally had no income at all. And that was, again, one of the points I started recording YouTube. I thought if I make a few quid out of it, it'll help. So I went from doing sort of having 3 or 4 cars I fixed up myself from Copart to buying cars that weren't damaged to increasingly got to a point like 8 or 9 cars, 10 cars. And I kind of outgrew where I was. At this point, YouTube had started to do all right. I think I was probably about 20,000 subscribers. And interestingly, what I found is that I did things as extreme as changing engines over and it got no views. And I did videos about being honest about how much the car cost to buy in. Like, they didn't do so well. But as soon as I started talking about, well, this customer's come in and their expectations are crazy and they've had the car for 3 months or 6 months, they want this, those videos do really, really well. So a lot of the content really is just that, because that's what people want to watch.
Hello and welcome to episode 31 of DealerPod, the podcast where we talk to motor trade industry experts nationwide to find out about their businesses and gain any insights that they may have to help you with your car sales operation. My name is Stephen Douglas and I'm joined today as always by Scott Sibley and Martin Carr. Today's podcast is sponsored by Dealerway, the UK's fastest growing platform for motor dealers to trade safely and transparently. Now, before we get going, just one small ask. We spend obviously a lot of time creating each episode and to make it more valuable for people like you. And if you're watching on YouTube, it would mean the world to us if you could just hit the like button that's down below and subscribe. And honestly, it takes 2 seconds, but it helps us more than you think and keeps us going week after week. All right, so let's get into it. Today's guest is the owner of CG Cars and the YouTube sensation that is Mr. James Harden. Hi, Chops. How are you doing? You all right? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm good, mate. Good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Fantastic. We've been too long. We should have had you on earlier, to be honest with you. But I think we're growing the audience and saving the big guns, you know, for everyone to see. Everyone to see, yeah. So, have you been busy?
Yeah, really busy.
Selling many cars?
We're taking on a couple more units, so been moving stuff about for that. Trying to up stock levels. Which surprisingly, when you have more cars, you sell more cars, don't you? So yeah, it's been keeping us busy as well. So yeah, been pretty busy. How about you lads? You all been busy as well?
We're a little bit quiet, if I'm honest, James. We had a fantastic month, not last month, the month before, and then all of a sudden the tap's been turned off a little bit, but it happens, doesn't it? It's a roller coaster of the motor trade. It's just, you've just got to get used to it. It's all the time. You're it's either feast or famine, isn't it?
Yeah. There's sometimes where you hear a lot of people being quiet. I have the last month heard a lot of people saying it's been a bit quiet, but it was half term, so I think a lot of people turn off for half term, don't they?
Mm.
Yeah, we had a good month last month, but yeah, I just got the figures. We're on 30 for today, so it's on the 6th and we've done 30. So, and I think the warranties and products is up as well. So we're all right in answer to the question.
I love your numbers. Your numbers are like what other people do in a month in a day.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's mad.
But we stock a lot of cars, and there's like, you know, it's quite a decent size, the company. So we'll have to do the numbers that we're forced to it.
There'll be people watching this pod who haven't sold 30 cars in this year from the door. Something, you know, you're just doing, it's the 6th, yeah, we're on 30, so it could be a bit better.
We were saying before when in the office, when I was at the Dealerway office, we said, we're talking about this, and the word on the street was it was quiet. But I'd said, I don't know if we're getting our share, you know, if we've got a lot of cars in stock with them, we'll have to sell them. So maybe we're getting, you know, business what would have been, I don't know, maybe it's went other places, I don't know.
Do you ever think a lot of it's just to a certain extent blind luck that you have the right stock? That, you know, you sometimes you just have a yard full of the right stock and it's just all the stuff that's going to sell and you're flying when everyone else is quiet. I think sometimes people can just have a bad yard, can't you? You can just have lots of stuff that just isn't really that great.
We had a meeting with the buyers yesterday, which we're going to start and do weekly, and we went right the way through that. And one of the things I said about stock was probably 25% of our stock, I'd rather, if I could just give it back and just get my money back in for it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I would love to do that. Even though I give the thumbs up to buy the car in the first place to the buyers, but then your cars can sit there for a little while, and you know it happens to everybody. You question your cars and think, why isn't that sold? Why is that still there?
Yeah.
And that's what does your head in. I mean, my son was talking to me the other day. I think the cheaper site will have like cash cards up there, which are, you know, they're all right. They just tend to sell, but they're not particularly fast sellers. But he said they're a bit off the boil at the minute. But then I said to him, well, you can get a Saturday and you'll sell all 6 on one day. It's, for no reason, but otherwise you've had them in stock for 2 or 3 months. There's just no, I don't know if it's to do with time of year.
Cash cows.
Family cars, cash cows, yeah.
But they always sell, don't they?
Yeah.
They always sell.
Dukes, he says the ones we've had, we've got one which we've had for a while, a black one with a nice spec, which you think would have sold. It's done about 70,000 miles, 8.5 grand. But he said if that had been 40,000 miles, so I think what he was saying was the customer for the Duke or the Qashqai, the low mileage ones seem to sell faster. I don't know.
See, that's funny because for me, I'd rather have a 70,000 mile older one than have a 40,000 miles. For me, it's the lower mile stuff slow to sell. But then I guess that's the price range I deal in. So I'd rather have a car with 70, 80,000 miles on that's going to be sub 5 grand or sub 6 grand than I would have some at 40,000 miles that's going to be 8 or 9. I find that stuff sits around for me.
To be fair, Dealerway, we're seeing a lot more cars coming on over the last couple of weeks, but we're seeing more the higher mile stuff is doing better on there. So they're the ones that tend to be the quick sellers. So your 80,000 mile jobs.
Yeah, I guess it's because it doesn't matter what time it is, where you are, what's happening in the country. There's always for affordable cars. There's always a market, isn't there? And the affordable stuff tends to be the high mileage stuff.
Yeah.
We struggle with anything high miles, like real high miles. I mean, we'll stock stuff up to 80,000 mile really, but when you get a customer who's interested in a car, and that's like what's the mileage? It's almost, I feel like the sales lads are a bit reluctant to tell them the miles on some of the cars when they're up in the 70s and the 80,000 miles. It's like a negative. You're starting off on a negative because it's probably one of the first things a customer asks, isn't it? What's the mileage? But then it swings and roundabouts because if the car had done 40,000 mile, it would be 2 grand more, 3 grand more.
It wouldn't be cheap enough for them, would it? No.
No.
I find it helps driving some myself with 140,000 miles on because I just point to it in the yard and go, well, mine's got 140,000 miles on. It doesn't bother me, and I'm in the game. And then it gives them a bit of reassurance.
Yeah, I put a car on Dealerway this week because we obviously put a part exchanges on it, and it's done 130, a C4 Picasso thing. Yeah. And anyway, I put a reserve on of £200 with a starting bid of 100 and no bids, unfortunately. So I rang the local scrapyard and he's given us 300 quid for it. So it's going to, somebody could have bought it on there for 200, drove it, which is 15 minutes up the road to the scrapyard and made a quick 100 quid. But they missed out, so I'm going to cop for the 100 quid myself.
Yeah, fair enough. Shame I missed that one. That sounds like it too.
That wouldn't even hit your pool for like half an hour though, would it?
No, because I'll have my buyer's fee to come off with a VAT. So I'm probably only left with like 70-ish as well. Yeah.
Don't worry, everyone. I make sure he pays it as well.
I mean, would that like 70 quid that you've made there, would that actually sort of cover, I don't know,
lunch.
One of your starters?
It wouldn't run the ice bath for a week.
No.
He's on the carnivore diet. He just said off camera, so he ain't going to pay for his T-bones tonight, that's 70 quid.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, Costco, 4 from Costco, 50 quid. So they're £12.50 per steak.
There you go, see.
My wife's shopping money's been getting a bit of a hit.
You're on the carnivore / chocolate diet though, aren't you, really? Because you did see off air as well that you'd had a bar of chocolate last night.
I had 2 bars of crunchy, which I quite like. I like to nibble the outside.
Two now?
I had 2, like the mini ones.
The minis. So you missed one off camera.
Yeah, and to tell the truth, I had 2 the night before as well, which I probably shouldn't have. Yeah. And I had a bottle of Massey last night. I have this like Amarone wine. It's lovely. I get it from Costco, and it's about 15%. So I had a bit of a bad head this morning, but that's not strictly carnivore. But they say if you had to, if you're an alcoholic and you're in the motor trade and you're on the carnivore diet and you need alcohol, they said that wine is probably one of the better choices rather than beer.
Who is your consultant?
I just Google these things and so you just believe everything on
consultant
Google.
is himself. Are you allowed wine? Yes, I am allowed wine.
Exactly.
Am I allowed a crunch? Yeah, I'm allowed a crunch.
This chip.
Listen, wine, chocolate and carnivore, and I'm over 3 stone down, so it definitely works. So if you try the carnivore, mix in the chocolate and the wine, and I think, to be honest, I think it gives your system a bit of a shock.
Have a bit of pleasure.
Your system doesn't know what's going on, and it just eats all the fat.
Okay.
What's for tea tonight then? 3 crunchies.
I've got a choice between cod, which I get from Costco as well. It's like a big piece of cod like that, and I cook it in the oven with lemon, which is really boring, but I have it with tartar sauce because you're allowed that for the fat. And I've also got a big like 12-ounce ribeye, so I might have both.
Surf and turf.
Yeah,
You can surf and turf like when you're selling 30 cars in a week.
yeah, we'll do that. And I normally have on a Friday night a nice little gin and tonic as well. Anyway.
Hello and welcome to Food Pod, the podcast that brings you the weekly updates of Scott's digestive system.
Yes, yes.
Moving on. So,
We'd sell loads.
James, I'm sure most of the audience watching this podcast will be fully aware of you, but for the ones that aren't, can you just tell them a little bit about yourself, who you are, your background, how you got to where you are, and if you could include a little bit of that into this all this YouTube stuff that you're doing, because you're flying with it, aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't say flying with, but yeah, it's just doing all right. But yeah, so basically my background isn't really cars. It's always been corporate, suited and booted every day, going to board meetings and all that kind of stuff. I did have a stint selling cars when I was about 18 for about 6 months. But I moved out of that and got into what a lot of salespeople got into, which was mobile phones. I worked my way up the ladder in mobile phones until I ended up being the national sales manager. And did that for a period of time. And Facebook had just come out. And when I used to ring all my retail stores, I used to have 30 resale stores, and my phone was just going all the time. I had 150 staff. It was just going all the time, talking to people. And it was draining. I was on the phone 24/7 all the time, going up and down the country. And when you used to ring them up, they used to say, oh, a bit like finance when you're doing the cars. So, I could have done X amount of deals today, but they got declined. And the biggest thing I was like a really aggressive salesperson. I wanted to get sales all the time. So if I had someone fail on a network, I'd run them on another network and run them like a car deal. Like, you'll have a lazy sales guy. When someone gets declined on finance, or he's never going to get finance anywhere else and doesn't bother running it through a couple of other companies, for example. It was a similar thing with mobile phones. So, and I knew a chap who ran a business which was dedicated to doing pick the phones for people that have been declined credit, but he did all through newspapers. And I saw Facebook come up and I saw the adverts down the side of Facebook. I thought, what if you replicated this on Facebook? So I started doing Facebook ads and set up my own business doing that, and resigned from my job as the national sales manager. Did that. That built up quite a bit. I partnered with somebody else, had some call centers up in Stratford-upon-Avon and Bristol. And we rammed that right up till we were doing like really big connectors doing that. And, unfortunately, that model changed. You used to get the money up front. So you get it was really good. People in mobile, so it was really good money. You could get like £300-400 for someone on a contract and buy a phone in for like 150 quid. Mint. So you make hundreds of pounds off a phone deal, and you can do loads of them in a day, can't you? And we were at a point where we could do 30, 40 deals on a day online. But our model sort of relied on, we knew a proportion of people would default and we'd get the money clawed back off us, but we'd be left with the net amount of money we wanted to make. And we made higher profits than people did selling to good credit people. A bit like, again, like your background, Stephen, when you're doing bad credit car stuff, weren't you? Mm-hmm. So that was our model, but the networks changed it where instead of paying you up front, they paid your ongoing revenues instead. So imagine like instead of being paid up front by the finance company for your car, you got a proportion of the person's payment every month for the 5 years, but you never got the money actually up front for the car. So you had to subsidize the car yourself.
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah,
Don't
so
give them
like
ideas.
you'd buy a car in for 10 grand. You'd only get your 10 grand back after, say, 2 years of them paying in.
Wow.
And then
everything after that's
years,
profit.
You'd get some more. Yeah. So it didn't work out because I was spending 60, 70 grand a month on Facebook ads to run the business. Mm-hmm. So that's how my kind of background in sort of pay-per-click and all that kind of stuff comes from. So that model, I had a bad credit database and I moved to just doing email broadcasts. I did that from home. I'd set up 5 or 6 email broadcasts a week and I was earning really good money off that. And the rest of the time was to myself, and we just had a daughter. So that worked really well. But that kind of ran out after time. So I then I had to go back into the workplace and apply for a job. So I got a job locally. I was the sales and marketing director for a company that did marketing for engineering firms. So again, that was kind of online advertising, that kind of thing. Did that for about 6 or 7 years, just before COVID, I think it was. Wasn't particularly happy there. I had a frank conversation with my boss, and I decided that I was going to move on. And I actually got a little bit of a golden handshake from doing that as well, from leaving there. It was a fairly well-paid job, so I got a decent handshake from there. And I was going to put my CV out and go and get another sales and marketing director's job in Bristol or Exeter, because I'm in North Devon. And my wife said to me, you love cars so much. Why don't you do something with cars? Because all the time during I've been doing this in the background, I always had cars. and I'd do them up, like most of the MGBs, because I knew those. I'd do them up, tart them up, drive them for a bit, sell them on, make some money. I did that, and I got to a point where I'd collected a few cars, and I had to actually share a garage with a friend because I had too many to store at home. So I shared a garage with a friend that ran an Alfa Romeo specialist, Alfa Romeo and Fiat specialist, and he had half the garage and I had the other half. And she said, "Why not try cars? You've got some money in the bank now, from sort of golden handshake type of thing. You've got some money in the bank that would set you up. Give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, you've got a great CV for sort of corporate stuff. Just go back into doing that again." So I had a cupboard full of suits, tons of suits and laptops and all that kind of guff. And instead, I started putting a t-shirt on and a pair of combats, going into the garage each day. And I said to my mate, I said, "Do you mind if I tried trading a few cars out the front?" And because he was Alfa Romeo and Fiat, I thought I'll do Fiat. So I did Fiat 500s because they were so popular. I just did Fiat 500.
Yeah.
And I did that standard thing of going to Copart first, which a lot of people do. I'd seen it on YouTube. So I bought bashed up Fiat 500s from Copart and I got my hands there. I was doing everything myself. I'd like whip the panels off, change the panels out. I'd do a bit of rattle canning, painting, all that kind of stuff. And while I did it, I thought, well, I'll just start recording a bit for YouTube. Other people seem to do it on YouTube. I'll start recording a bit. Didn't really think much of it. But I thought, some people might be interested in the journey of going from being suited and booted in board meetings to rolling around under a £1,000 car, changing parts out. And also the sort of just the trading side of things. So I started doing that. I started off with I probably only had 2-3 cars. I only had about, well, the trouble was that COVID kicked in. And then I was really kicked in the nuts because if you think about it, I left my job, so I wasn't qualifying for payments from my previous job, the COVID help.
Yeah.
And my job, I hadn't run my new business for a year or more, so I couldn't get money for that. So I literally had no income at all. And that was, again, one of the points I started recording YouTube. I thought if I make a few quid out of it, it'll help. So I only really had enough budget to buy 3 or 4 cars at a time and I didn't have enough money in the bank to cover this period where I wasn't getting nothing in at all because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And they told you had to shut down, didn't you, really? And I was like, well, I can't shut down. You're not going to put the government, you're not going to give me any money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to ignore the rules and carry on trading pretty much. So I carried on fixing up cars. But luckily, I mean, as you know, over COVID, cars actually started to do pretty well, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I went from doing sort of having 3 or 4 cars I fixed up myself from Copart to buying cars that weren't damaged to increasingly got to a point like 8 or 9 cars, 10 cars. Started to buy stuff, like I say, that wasn't damaged. And I kind of outgrew where I was. So then at this point, YouTube had started to do all right. I think I was probably about 20,000 subscribers, 30,000 subscribers, started to get a little bit of money off it. But one of the best things about it was I started to get cars being offered to me and I was starting to sell cars to people from the YouTube as well. So then I got a unit out here on my own, which was a bit of a big move. Just one little unit that would fit about 8 cars in. I think I had 6 parking spaces outside. And just over the last few years, I've just grown and grown on that. So I've gone from doing Fiat 500s and Alfa Romeos to doing pretty much any brand. I moved away from doing a lot of the work myself because I didn't have time to do all the work myself and increase the volume of cars. And then I took on a second unit. So I had 2 units and half the car park. And now I've got 4 units and the whole car park. And I'm probably up to I'm probably cracking on 50 cars now floating around various different places. And just through the process, I've just been recording on YouTube how it's worked. And I wouldn't call myself a YouTuber as such, because a YouTuber, the likes of Joe at Shifting Metal and High Peak Autos, they set out to record YouTube content and they'll say, I'm recording content today, and they have staff to record it and so forth. I literally just do it on my bashed up mobile phone as and when I've got time. The car sales business always comes first. I'm always focused. So if I might be a week without putting a YouTube video out because I'm actually prepping cars and getting them out the door. And I'll just record stuff in between. I never go out of my way to buy. I don't buy stock specifically to record YouTube content. I don't set out any given day to record YouTube content. I just record what's going on. And interestingly, what I found is that I did things as extreme as plasma cutting arches out of MGBs and bonding in body kits and changing engines over, and it got no views. And I did videos about being honest about how much the car cost to buy in. Like, for some of my videos, I'd show you how much I bought it from auction for, how much I put it in for, how much I sold it for, and how much profit I made. They didn't do so well. But as soon as I started talking about, well, this customer's come in and their expectations are crazy and they've had the car for 3 months or 6 months, they want this, those videos do really, really well. So a lot of the content really is just that, because that's what people want to watch. I guess that's generic, isn't it? It doesn't matter if you're interested in cars or not. You're interested in the story. So there you go. I told you to have more problem with me not talking. And
It's interesting that you say, as soon as you start talking about, like issues with customers and things, my thought goes straight to there. Like if you run a dealership and then all of a sudden you're on YouTube and sort of like not slagging those customers off, but like, talking about the situations that weren't ideal with the customer. Do you never get some backlash off the previous customer you spoke about, or maybe seen you on the
Never.
YouTube scene? Never, not once.
No,
Yeah.
because I'm very careful about not slagging off. What I do is I give people the information as to what happened in the scenario, and then I say to them, what would your expectation be? And the interesting thing is the public, as a general rule, or the people watching the videos, are much tougher than I would be. I question sometimes if they had bought the car, if they'd have been happy with the scenario that they say should have played out. So 9 times out of 10, they'll say I'm being too generous and I shouldn't have done anything for the person at all, and they're being totally unreasonable. So I don't actually end up slagging the customer off at all. I'll just present the facts as to what happened, and they can make a decision for themselves as to whether that was reasonable or not. Don't get me wrong, the thumbnails have to be dramatic, so you have to word the thumbnail in a certain way. But I might do a thumbnail in such a way, but if the person that was in that scenario then watched my video, they would never watch the video and go, he slagged me off, because I never do.
Could you imagine doing a scenario whereby you set up a business, a court, and you said any dealer who's had a customer complaint, right, put it in front of the jury, i.e. the audience, and let them decide on the fate of the scenario. How much
Mate,
that would
you
get?
just come up with an absolute gold. That would do so well on YouTube.
Yeah,
Basically, we
probably would.
start right. Well, we're on the fly. We're talking about this now. So we start up a YouTube channel. We get everybody who has a car situation to write in and tell us.
Yeah.
Then we'll have a board of people in. We can invite people to come on the channel. We can invite people to come on the channel. They can apply to come on the channel, and they sit on the jury like real jury duty.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a judge. We'll appoint someone as a judge. And then we'll present the facts, and we'll see what happens. Oh, mate, that is YouTube gold. You've just literally designed a YouTube channel right away. That would fly. I'll
take 10%.
Dealer judge.
Yeah.
Dealer judge.
I reckon that'd do really, really well, because I honestly think that it's a really funny game, isn't it? Because people always talk about dealers being hard-nosed and being unreasonable, but I always think, like I say, when I put this stuff out there, half the time the people in the comments are going, what's this person on? They bought a used vehicle. What do they expect? I'd never dream of taking it back for X, Y, or Z. They're being totally unreasonable. And you think, well, do you really feel that if you'd bought it off me, would you really feel that way? Because then when they turn up here every now and then, a subscriber will turn up at the unit to say hi, and without exception, they'll say, "You are too soft, though. I will say you're too soft." Yeah, every time.
Crazy, isn't it?
There must be instances where people are commenting saying, "No, I agree with the customer. Terrible service and stuff."
Every now and then, it's normally a bit of an idiot, to be honest. I mean, because one thing I haven't explained during that process is I'm still a one-man band. I have Pete who comes and helps me, but I'm literally a one-man band. So I come in every day. Pete comes and helps me, and he'll do a little bit of valeting. He'll change some discs and pads out. But if anything needs mechanically doing now, it goes out to other garages. And the car, and because of that, like I say, I'm not suited and booted. I come in like this every day, t-shirt and jeans, and sometimes I'll be rolling around the car on my own. So this is one of the reasons I don't really do cars sort of over 10 grand, because I don't think people would buy from my environment and from me. So most of my stock is between anywhere from as low as £3,000 to about a max of about 9 grand. I'd say most stuff sitting around the 5k mark. So a lot of other dealers would consider what I do being the sort of the beaters type of market.
The banger job.
Yeah, being North Devon, there isn't a huge amount of income here. There's some good retirement income, but most people have seasonal jobs that don't pay particularly well, and it's just the most secure market is the affordable small runarounds market. But yeah, that's so. I probably am in a scenario where I don't know, do I get more hassle than you guys or not? I don't know. I mean, there's certainly a lot of people with a 3 to 4 grand budget who still expect a brand new car at 3 to 4 grand.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
And that's probably why I get a lot of those comments in the videos going, seriously, they've only spent 3 grand, 4 grand. What are they expecting for the money, kind of thing? And that's probably why they're saying I'm a bit too soft. But yeah, I just thought it probably beneficial to explain to people what kind of market I'm in. I am in the cheaper end.
I think, I mean, obviously we've all started off in the cheaper end. Everyone I know started off with that. I certainly did. And I used to find it difficult back in the day when I was, I had 10 cars around us and they were like sub £3,000. Difficult to get the stock. I'd imagine in this day and age, acquiring the stock with profit margins across to sell a car for 4 or 5 grand must be really difficult now. Like,
Yeah,
must
you've hit the nail on the head. I have
Yeah.
people ring up every day with 2 to 3 grand. I had a lady come on yesterday looking for a grandson. So you can't do it. See,
No.
2 grand. I said, I'm going to pay the VAT man 300 quid. I'm going to pay the tax man 300 quid. There's not an MOT I've ever done that costs less than 500 quid on even a really good car.
Yeah.
So I said straight out of the gate, I said, so I've got £1,000, £1,200 left, but someone who's selling that car has seen them up for sale for £2,000, so they ain't going to accept less than £1,000 to sell me the car. I'd have to literally be sold the car for 200 or 300 quid. If they sell it to me for 200 or 300 quid, then it must be a total bag of nails. So it's going to cost more than 500 quid at the MOT. So I don't think 2 grand. I mean, they might be controversial, but I don't think 2 grand cars exist at dealerships anymore. They might sell you a part exchange.
Don't think they do.
No, even 3 grand. Like you say, it's a real challenge to do cars at that price point. To be honest, most of my stock sits around the 5K mark. But it is, like you say, it is hard to buy cars at that price point. And like if you are going to paint wheels, if you're going to paint a bumper corner, if you're going to put a fresh advisory free MOT in it, need no advisories. Like if you're going to do an oil and filter on it,
Impossible.
and you're going to sell it at Auto Trader price, which, let's face it, a lot of times only 500 quid more than the private sale. It is a tight market. That's why they call me a lot of people call me the Rattle Can King as well, because one thing I had to learn was how to spray stuff myself, because you can't be paying 150 quid a corner or 90 quid a corner to a painter every time you've got a car that's got a scuff or a scratch on it.
Not on a 2-3 grand car. Definitely not.
No.
I just wonder if that's where the name Chops came from. You go to someone else's garage and just chop the front end off and stick it on yours.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about the chops thing. So the chops thing actually is my nickname from school, because they said I had ears like lamb chops, and when I started a YouTube channel, that's all it is. And when I started a YouTube channel, I wasn't thinking I'm going to be a car dealer. I thought I'm just going to record a bit of content. So I thought, well, I just called Chops Garage. And now people go, why would you call yourself Chops Garage? You'd like chop cars up. Why would you call yourself that? It's like, well, I didn't think that far ahead at all. It's like when people have got really embarrassing email addresses they didn't think they'd ever have to use.
I've got one. My personal email address, right? Okay. Well, exclusive. When I was younger, because I set this up like, I don't know, 25 years ago or something like that. When I was younger, I used to play obviously a game, International Superstar Soccer, Pro Evo football game. So I must have been younger than 15, must have been like 11, 12 or something when email sort of when I first got the internet. And I set an email up. Obviously, my nickname is Dougie, so it's Dougie ISS International Superstar Soccer 1 at hotmail.com. Don't everyone email us all at once, by the way. But I still use it now. So I'm like 40-year-old with International Superstar Soccer as my email address.
You get it all the time, don't you? When the customer's in front of you, go, what's your email address? You can tell they're cringing as they give it to you. You just keep it yourself as you type it in there, some random thing. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how the chops thing came along. It's got nothing to do with chopping the car. But I do think I have got a strange business model, because I know I don't think I've dealt with any of you guys, but a lot of the guys like in the groups around, I will call it a shitbox exchange. Which is a bit harsh on the cars I take. But basically, I'll get a 2019 car in, 2020 car in with 15, 20,000 miles on it. And I'll message someone and say, that's not my cup of tea. I'm not going to retail that. That's bang on your cup of tea. And I'll let you have a good price on it, but I need a shitbox part exchange back off you. I need that car you took in for £1,000, because I can bring you down here and get it up for free, hopefully. So yeah, it's really weird. I have the weirdest business model where I take low mileage, nice cars, and I get out of them as fast as I can with another dealer, and just hope that gives me enough sort of credit with them to get their part exchanges off them, because that's one of the only ways to get it. Because we probably get cars properly cheap in part exchange, don't we? But once they get to auction, they get out of control price, don't they?
Yeah, mental.
Mental. I mean, I don't know what do people do with these cars when they pay 1,500 quid for a Nissan Note that's going to be 2.5 grand, and they're paying £500 of fees and picking it up, and it's got no MOT on it. What's happening to those cars? They just been sold off driveways somewhere?
They're being sold off driveways, and it's all for cash. And there's no
VAT, no tax.
No VAT, no tax, and it's just all in the back pocket, and they can sell one a week and get themselves £300 out of it. That's what it is. That's the only way it can work.
It's like this morning I bought a 19 plate EcoSport Ford, and I'm like, and I think it's got 40,000 miles on it. And you think, and it's clean as a whistle, and you think, well, why would you just stick that up on your forecourt? And I'm like, that won't sell inside of 2 weeks. If I take a cheapie in, it'll sell like within a week. So I'd rather have 2 Nissan Notes and a Hyundai i10 on a 2012, 2011 play outside at 3,995 and stuff like that. So yeah, I do have a weird business model like that.
But you said it yourself though, how the cheaper stuff just sells within a week. So, you know, for the average working man, you know, who might be bringing in £500 a week or £600 a week in the home, if he can buy the odd banger for 1,500 quid, and even if he only puts £300 across it, he doesn't pay any tax, doesn't fix it, doesn't do anything to it, he just puts it on Auto Trader on a single slot ad, and if he sells one a week, it tops his wages up £300 a week. And I think there's a massive amount of people doing that, which totally just affects the price of the cheaper car market, you know, and which you can't compete with that as a dealer if you're trying to get profit margins and doing things properly across it. And it's been that way for a long time now, hasn't it? You know, I used to go to the auctions when I was younger. I remember vividly going to the auctions when I first started going, and you'd see like, you know, hundreds of people at the auctions saying, bloody hell, all these people car dealers, and they're not. You know, you'd stand. We would stand the auction hall, Scott, and you know, you know the real car dealers, and there might be 6 or 7 who at the sale, and everyone else is just like, you know, they're plumbers and they're builders, and they've nipped away in the dinner. I'm going to buy this one cheap car, and I'll stick it on Gumtree. You know, get myself a couple £100. It's loads of that goes on.
Well, when I was at Granger Games, and I used to buy and sell cars. I did it for 10 years, selling them from the door. I mean, little rental Clios, and I used to get easy 30 grand a year. Easy. I used to pay for your holidays, pay for, you know, anything you wanted. There was always money there. You know, there was always just like, you know, spare money floating around. So I didn't live off my wages. I was just selling from the door. I found it really, really easy. I don't know. It's
the best business car sales model out there, isn't it? And people comment to me all the time about how do I get started in it. It's like, don't bother. Keep your day job. Buy stuff and just sell it off your driveway. You'll make more money than you will as a car dealer.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it you're getting your cars then, James? Where you sourcing them from?
So the side benefit I'm always happy to tell everyone about of doing a YouTube channel is getting offered stock by subscribers for starters, which is brilliant. I mean, marketing wise, you guys will heard me shouting about this all the time. Like if you're a dealer and you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't have a TikTok channel and you don't have Instagram, then to be honest, you're daft. You're paying Auto Trader stupid amounts of money to sell your cars. You might be paying for local advertising to try and buy stock in, but these are free. They're free. You've got all the content in the world going on because your car's coming in and going out all the time. These things are totally free. So why would you not rinse those? So I'm really lucky from the YouTube channel to get offered stock. So I think I bought 5 in the last week, I'd say. I've got another one coming in, Panda 4x4 coming in next week. I have 23,000 mile 2009 Hyundai i10 coming last week, a 30,000 mile 2014 VW up, automatic Renault Clio, which, you know, small autos are flyers at the moment. They've all come in via subscribers within the last week. So that is a big benefit. One big bonus of not being too much of a dick when I was a sales director was that one of my staff went on to work at a local main dealers. And he became the sales manager there and rang me up and said, I need you cars now, James. Would you be interested in buying our part exchanges? So that was a really good in. I've had that. We were discussing earlier. I've had that for nearly 3 years now, but unfortunately, they've just been bought out by a bigger chain.
Oh, never.
Yeah, whose policy is to send it to main. We were just discussing about main dealer. Send the cars to Mannheim to auction. And unfortunately, the chains tend to do that. They don't sell to local traders. They tend to send them all to auction. So that was a really good source of stock to be able to wander around. It was a much more mixed bag. I couldn't cherry pick. I had to buy everything.
Yeah.
And then filter out what I wanted. And like I say, I offered a lot of the higher end stuff out, but I helped them out quite a lot. If they had a deal where all their profit in the deal was going to be the part exchange, it was something lumpy, maybe a Land Rover product or just a car that's worth, say, 15, 20 grand or whatever, I could always help them out by even if I couldn't make a few quid out of it, I'd place it with someone else for them so they knew exactly what they're getting in. So that was a really good relationship, worked well. I just went down there this morning and I think I picked up 4 cars there this morning. I've got another 3 coming in later on, but I think these are going to be the last batch of cars I get from them.
What a shame.
So that helped. I do a bit of locally. I'm known quite well for buying cars, so people swing by to offer me cars every now and then. And I mean, I will have to more so going forward. I did get cars from BCA as well, but the margins are a lot smaller in the auction cars than they are buying privately direct.
Did you find you were giving more money for the cars at the main dealer because you weren't paying the auction fees?
No, to be honest, the prices of the cars at the main dealer were better than auction prices.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting the cars cheaper at the main dealer. I was having the opportunity to test drive them.
Yeah.
I was having the opportunity to properly look around the bodywork, look at the service history myself. And I've done a video on this that I haven't put out yet, actually. And I think it's detrimental to the end user as well, because I was getting cars that were being part exchanged in locally. I could go and look at that car and I knew where it had been serviced locally. I knew the garage.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the supply and dealer off and off the number plate. I'd bring that car back here, I'd properly prep it, and then someone local would get the car and you'd be able to say, well, this is a local car. So it was bought 10 miles down the road. It stayed 10 miles down the road, and now you've got it. So it was really, good for the consumer, really, if you think about it, isn't it? Everybody likes to think their car's a local car. But unfortunately, the more of these chains that take on other branches, these cars are going to get dispersed all out over the country, aren't they? You're not going to get that anymore.
A quick message from our sponsors, Dealerway. Attention DealerPod listeners, do you want a better, quicker, more profitable way of trading out of your part exchanges or overage stock? List your cars on Dealerway today and connect with over 2,000 vetted trade buyers actively looking for vehicles. No hidden fees, no hassle. Start your own custom auctions from your desk or the palm of your hand in our game-changing app. Or advertise your stock on quick, easy, buy-it-now listings to our eager buyers who are waiting to quickly acquire vehicles. What are you waiting for? Join Dealerway today at dealerway.co.uk and streamline your disposals. You mentioned obviously the benefit of running your YouTube channel. One of the main benefits is, buying the stock. What other benefits have you seen come from starting the YouTube stuff then?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, one, I know people talk about trolls online, but there's very few. Majority of people, 99% of people are so supportive. I mean, there's been people that have followed me from 5 years ago, from when I got my very first cars and put them on YouTube. They've followed me all the way through, and they've always got, words of support for you. They're really, really supportive. And again, I think that's the reason why they offer you their cars.
Yeah.
A lot of people buy cars from me that watch the channel as well. So you get quite a lot of people come and buy cars from you, and they're prepared to pay. They don't tend to haggle with you on the asking price because they know the prep you've put into it. And they know
they've seen the process 100 times.
They've seen the
process.
it. Yeah. They know what I do if they have a problem with the car. They know how I'll treat them with the warranty side of things. So they don't tend to argue on the price side of things. They recommend you to people. I mean, I get so many recommendations. I had someone come down just 2 days ago with his mate. His mate said, "I need a car," and he said, "I need to take you down to Chops." And they drove about 40 minutes down here.
You can't buy that. You can't buy that.
You can't. And they just wandered through the stock, pick something out of the stock. They like the look of it. They didn't have any preconceptions of what they want. And they were happy just, to buy like that on that recommendation. I get a lot of recommendations. People turn up all the time. I've got local RAC, local AA guys who watch the channel that are recommending me to customers when they've broken down on the road and need a new car. Or they've been asked about getting a new car. It's just brilliant. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I really can't.
And how many subscribers have you got now then, James?
I think about 65,000 at the moment. I've not been the fastest growing channel. I will admit that, because I'm so sporadic in putting videos out. I don't put myself on camera really at all. I'm just a pointing finger. And I think if you want a big YouTube channel, you have to have
the face.
Aura. You have to be a character, and I think you have to be on screen for that side of things.
You've got to be the face of it.
You've got to be the face of it, and you've got to consistently put out content. People, they've got to know they're getting a video Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. They've got to know they're getting that video. If you have big gaps in between, they drop off. So I don't think. I always say, again, I said earlier, I'm a car dealer who does some YouTube. I am not a YouTuber who's dealing cars. So majority of my income still comes from selling cars. And don't get me wrong, YouTube actually pays fairly well as well. You can get decent money out of YouTube, and I get sponsors as well. So that's good as well. That's helpful.
Do you mind delving into a little bit of that, James? Obviously, you've been dead transparent with your YouTube audience about how your margins that you make in a car. Would you be transparent with us and the audience we've got of what you're getting from YouTube?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem at all. So 1 million views will get you between 4 and 5 grand. 1 million views. So if you put a video out that's getting a
Scott's writing
hundred
this down
thousand,
here.
yeah, if you get a video out that's getting about 100,000 views, you could be pulling in the 400 to 500 pounds. So when you see me put out a video and it gets, say, 30,000 views, I might earn a couple £100 out of it. Some videos I put out, I've earned £1,500 out of, £2,000 out of it. So I will fluctuate somewhere between, a poor month will be about £2,000 and a good month will be about £5,000.
Wow.
If you add on sponsors on top of that, I charge about £500 a placement for a sponsor per video. I don't like to fill my videos full of sponsorships, so I'll probably
No.
only do 2 or 3 in a month max, and they have to be fairly relevant. There's one that's for VPN software that I do because they support me from the very beginning, like very early days on. They came on board when my views weren't really where they needed to be to get a sponsor, but they've consistently renewed, and I feel some loyalty towards them. But the rest of the stuff I try and make. Top Don's a brilliant one. I work quite closely with Top Don.
Yeah,
Because I believe in their products. I use their jump packs every day. I use their car chargers every day, battery chargers every day. I use their diagnostics equipment every day. They've always donated when I want to do stuff for charity. They've always donated on that front. So I don't think people like to see too many sponsors in videos, so don't go too crazy. But I think a lot of people also respect that there's a lot of time goes into putting YouTube videos together.
Yeah,
So
there
I'll
is, yeah.
finish at 6 o'clock on an evening. I might be working through to 9 o'clock getting video content together, and then I've still got more car stuff to do afterwards. It can take quite a while to edit stuff. So I think some people appreciate that there's no reason why you shouldn't earn something out of it, so they don't mind sponsors. Other people really get their knickers in a twist about it. I don't quite understand why, but
We adding
I
it?
really do get the knickers in a twist.
Do you do all your own editing as well, or do you send it off to
100%,
somewhere else? Yeah.
I do 100% myself. Yeah. So like I say, I genuinely, a lot of people think, so when you talk about YouTube, they think, right, I've got to go and get a new camera. I've got to get a stand. I've got to get editing software. I do it all on there, and I use CapCut on there. I literally, my costs for my YouTube channel, they're non-existent. I mean, you can go the other way. I mean, I've got some good friends, as you guys know, like he's really built his YouTube channel in the last couple of years. He's built to 120,000 subscribers, but he's invested heavily. He's built a studio. He's got 2 members of staff following him around doing editing. He's buying cars specifically for stock videos. He's flying really well with it. So there's some guys that are doing real. But and I mean, there's like Lee at Car UK. He's doing pretty well. I think he's ahead of me now. I think he's closed on 100,000 pretty well, pretty much there. But he consistently puts videos out, like very consistently puts videos out, and he's got a formula that works really well with auctions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
watched a few of them.
but honestly, people obsess about subscriber numbers. It's actually views that
It's
pays
views.
you. If I
Yeah.
had 20,000 subscribers, but my videos all got 1 million views, I'd earn more money than someone with 250,000 subscribers who's getting 30,000 views.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the subscriber number. That's not really the difference. It doesn't make any difference at all to your
Funny,
income.
actually, it's funny you say that because the other day I was looking, believe it or not, Ronaldo. I was thinking, I wonder how many views and stuff he gets, and it's minimal on his videos. Is actually minimal
Yeah.
compared to how many subscribers he's got as millions, but it's like a couple 100,000 or something like that per video.
And not to get into marketing jargon too much, but basically, when it comes to sponsorship, they're looking for you to be I know the phrase is well known, an influencer, but what they mean by that is they're going to look at how many views you get versus how many subscribers you have to see how how much you are in people's lives, how much of interest you really are to them, and whether you're a trusted person or not. So if you've got 40,000 subscribers, but every video is watched by 40,000 people, you'll be more attractive for advertising for sponsors than you will be for someone who's got 200,000, but you're getting 15,000 views because they're kind of like, well, people they're not engaged. They're not engaged in your content. So yeah, that's the main thing. But yeah, so many benefits to YouTube. I mean, let's face it, even if they weren't paying me, would I continue doing YouTube? Well, for getting the stock in and for selling the stock, of course I would. So if you view it from that point of view, you've got absolutely nothing to lose, have you?
So it's been a great thing for you then, really. I mean, you see in there those numbers, some good months, 5 grand in a month, and if you get 3 sponsors in at 500 quid a shot, that's 6.5 grand head start before you open the door at the garage. Like, and with yourself being a one-man band, I don't think your overheads will be crazy. I mean,
well, my overheads before I took on the extra couple of units, my 2 units were £1,200 a month. I literally am tight. So £1,200 a month for the 2 units. I run my phone, my inbound phone is basically a desk phone with a SIM card in, so that's like £30 a month. I do all my recording off my mobile phone. So my insurance
You're a
is
cheapskate like
£200 a
James,
month.
aren't you?
Sorry?
You're a cheapskate.
I am an absolute cheapskate. Yeah, I run everything on an absolute budget. Absolute budget. Well, the thing is, coming from the corporate sort of background, I see people sprog money on so many unnecessary things. I don't
Yeah.
think half of what people think they've got in their business they do actually need. Do I need a chatbot? Do I need to pay monthly for a chatbot on my website? No. Do I need to pay a company for my web? I don't pay anyone for my website. I do my website myself. What do I need to do? I need to upload a picture of a car and give it a description. Why do I need to be paying a company a fortune to do that? It takes minutes to do it. So why do I need to pay? My website costs me like £30 a month for Wix. It's got all my cars on it. It's got as much information as anybody else got a car. I don't need to integrate it with finance because finance is a joke, isn't it? I mean, I know you guys earn a lot of money out of finance, but the whole idea of having a car come back to you after 5 years, delaying the sale, holding up the sale, and then people think they've got you over a barrel with it. And I don't want to be getting letters every 5 minutes going, did you do this X, Y, Z with this customer? Otherwise, you're going to have to repay this. I can't be doing with it. So yeah, I keep it lean and mean. And and then that kind of YouTube income can be quite substantial. But the other thing about it as well is it allows me, I say I don't create content, but with that income, I can be over generous with a warranty claim because that warranty claim will generate a video for me.
Yeah.
So I can do something for somebody that you wouldn't deem was actually reasonable for them to claim. I can do it out of goodwill and I can make a video out of it. So they get something out of it and I
You get the money back off the video
as well.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Quite a clever way of doing it, really.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, and every negative is actually a positive because, you get a story with something kicking off and you think, well, I can get a little bit of money back out of this by creating some content out of it.
And with all that positivity that you're mentioning surrounding the YouTube channel, I know you said you do it all yourself on your phone and what have you. Have you never thought, well, I might take someone on, even part-time, like someone to film me doing this and someone to help us with the editing that can push, so you can push more content out to grow it even more, so you get offered more cars, you earn more money off more views, and are you just quite happily just continuing the way you are? Because I mean, it's not exactly that it's not working.
No, I haven't, and the reason being is because I often get accused of it. It's probably true. So I've got a bit of a lifestyle business here to a certain extent. So I'm in North Devon. If I fancy shutting after this today and going off and just having lunch or doing whatever, go down to the pub early, I'll do it. But the business does not control me like that at all. I'll take that mobile phone with me. I'll have it in my pocket. And if someone says I'm at your yard, I'm looking at cars, I'll say, okay, we'll come back tomorrow at a certain time or we'll have a look at something.
Yeah.
I'm not, and the thing with it is when I had my corporate job, I mean, I think at my peak, I had about 200 staff underneath me and my phone would just ring constantly and and you just spend your life dealing with other people's problems. I mean, I was in and out of HR meetings, there'd be disciplinaries, there'd be recruitment, there'd be redundancies, there'd be, and the phone would be ringing, I can't come in today because of X, Y, Z, and this drama's happened. So when I did this, I've had a very conscious decision not to grow the business past the point where I can do it myself. I know when I was younger, I thought I'd have a Ferrari and live in a flat before I'd buy a Ferrari before I bought a big house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just not like that at all. I think living in North Devon, you get like that because no one here values you on your income at all. They just are not like, I'm getting messages going, are you going to come and help set the marquee up for cricket at the weekend in the village park? Do you know what I mean? It is that kind of chocolate box lifestyle down here. And no one judges you on that. So if I pulled up outside my local pub in a Porsche, they'd think I was a dickhead. If I pull up in a beat up pickup truck and I'll help set the marquee up this weekend, they value me more for that
Of course.
than if I was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm a little bit like you, James. I thought I would have had a Ferrari by the time I was 25, 30 and didn't get there. And to be honest, if I wanted to push the boat out, maybe go and get one, I probably could. It would be a daft thing to do now, but I wouldn't do it anyway now because like you're saying, you just look like a dick. I'm too old, fat and grey to be in one now. I probably couldn't get out of one.
Couldn't see you trading in the Lambos though.
Oh, right,
No, exactly. That's the problem, mate. Yeah, you'd have to have that silver shadow before you could do that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No, I did buy myself a 911. I always wanted a 911, and I didn't
Really?
buy a particularly expensive one. I bought one for about 20 grand, and it was absolutely mint, and I had it for what 3 weeks, I think, before I traded it out. I drove it a couple of times. It was so clean and so tidy that I didn't want to put any miles on it, and I didn't want to get it scraped. And the curse of this industry, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, is I see everything now as an investment. So any mileage I put on it is going to devalue it. Any scrapes I put on, do I want to have to paint? Is it going to blend well? So I drive a Range Rover that cost me £2,000 with 150,000 miles on it, a 56 plate like L322. I drive that everywhere. My other car is a £2,000 Suzuki Swift Sport I bought that I just rag the tits off and give out as a loan car. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a little collection of like classic-y stuff, but all that's beat up. I've got a Pontiac Firebird that I sprayed with a fence panel sprayer. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to put the money into painting it, and my compressor broke, so I sprayed it with a fence panel sprayer. I've got an MGB that I've got an MX-5 engine in that I just sprayed in the workshop myself. And a selection of other MGBs. But I'd say if you totaled up all my cars together, there probably ain't more than 50 grand's worth of cars there. Do you know what I mean? Really, in total.
Yeah.
So I just don't have. I don't have any sort of like lavish lifestyle plans or anything like that. So I'm just quite happy ticking along.
Are you happy though, James?
Absolutely happy.
That's what it's all
I
about,
count
mate,
myself so lucky. I do count myself as so lucky that I still enjoy coming into the business every day. And I think if I push myself, because it's hard to get out of that. I was always a sales manager, so I had a target every single month. And you know what it's like in that environment. You can do as well as you like, but then roll around the first again, you're shit unless you do another great month, aren't you?
Yeah.
And if you do, and the worst thing about it was if you do really well, you shoot yourself in the foot, don't you? Because what happens, your target goes up to exactly what you just managed to achieve, and you can't earn any more money until you achieve that again or do better again. And it's just, there was never a break. You got round to the first of every month. And I always felt like in sales, you needed an extra day of the month when you didn't have a target where you could just sit there and go, do you know what I mean? Just chill out for a little bit before it rolled over again. And now I catch myself doing it sometimes. I think I need to squeeze another few car sales in before the end of the month. I need to, you know what it's like on the last day of the month, you're like, well, I don't want a deal to roll over into next month. And then I sit down and I go, it doesn't make a fucking blind bit of difference.
No,
what
not really.
Whether it hits my bank account next week or this week?
Not really.
Someone used to say to me, chip shop paper is your last month is chip shop paper today. It's not. It's just going to get wrapped up and that's it.
That's the stressful thing about being in sales, and especially if you're working for somebody else. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I know a lot of you guys are ultra focused, and a lot of we're in a WhatsApp group, aren't we? And you're like, I know you, Scott, like you're like laser focused on and making lots and lots of money, and I know Chic is as well. And all credit to you, blooming heck. I can see how it could get addictive as well, having gone from sort of 10 to 20 cars to sort of 50 cars, and you're getting sales in every single day. And what if I had 100 cars? What if I had 200 cars? If I had 300 cars, what would it be like? But I just look at that and go, well, Angfar, I'd need to employ technicians. I'd need to employ salespeople. I need to employ accounts. And that means I've got to deal with people. I've got to deal with staff. I've got to deal with managing staff. And I'm probably a bit of a control freak as well, because like even when Pete's polishing a car for me, I'm out there going, no, actually, give it here a second. If you lean in a bit more and you do it that direction, you get a better finish on it. So it probably wouldn't work particularly well for me anyway. So it is weird, like say, but I say I'm used to having so many staff and managing so many people. I just love the fact that I can, because I get really stressed out as well. If I have got people working for me, like occasionally, and I'm in here now and I'm listening, and I'm thinking, is he getting on with that? Is he getting on with the other? Why hasn't he moved on to that yet? And I don't want to be that guy, so it's almost better not to have anybody here.
I'm similar to that. Like I try and take control of people who I've got working for us. I'm paying them to do a job, and I have to stop myself for a second, thinking, no, let them do the job I'm paying them to do. It's quite us.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we've talked about before, whereas you're the other way, Scott. Scott's very good at delegating stuff.
We have we have lots of meetings.
Yeah, I fully accept. I'm never going to be the rich. I'm never going to be the richest guy. I'm not going to be the guy with the flashiest cars or the biggest house. But do you know the one thing for me is, without getting too cheesy about it as well, is there was a guy in our village, Kenny, and he was a farm worker, and he'd always been a farm worker, and he'd never had any money. He rented his house his entire life. He never owned a house, and he was down a pub every night. But that guy, there was chips behind the bar for him. He never bought a pint in his life. It was the life and soul. And when he passed away a little while ago in his 80s, oh my God, the place was absolutely
Packed.
rammed to the gun. I was out the door and no one had anything but good things to say about him. I thought, that is the way to leave this planet, not
Yeah.
how much you got in your bank account. Yeah, and he'd like to say never had a penny to his name. I'll never forget him when I first met him. He said, "You're in cars, aren't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, my tractor needs some oil. I need like 9 liters of oil or whatever it was, and a filter for it. If you could get that for me, I'll pay you up for that." So I got it for him, and it must have cost me, this stuff, ain't particularly cheap, is it? 70, 80 quid. Took it down and gave it to him. And he went, "Here you go," and he gave me a bag, and I shit you not, it had 2 turnips. 2 turnips and a cabbage in there, and I think a few carrots. They went, "There you go, there you go." And do you know what? It turned out that he robbed that from the farmer's field. He hadn't even got it himself. He robbed it from the farmer's field. Well, I thought, fair play, fair play. So yeah, so it's just everything. I mean, I say it's a bit of a cliche, but everything does run down there at a totally different speed, and it does put things into perspective for a bit for you.
I get lost in that. I just maybe need to take a bit of a leaf out of your book, James, because I'm always wanting to, get better and do more and, make more money and do this and do that. And you get lost really, because what is most important is your your health and your happiness and your family. And, me and my wife have a few to-dos and a few arguments over it, like, I need a bit, her thing to me is you need to be more present in the moment. You're like here, but you're not here. Your head's always somewhere else, and I would say the last 6 months I've been trying to work on it a lot, but it's hard. I've got this sort of thing inside us that just makes us want to right, what's next? What's next?
That's the worst thing.
That's
the worst thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's so easy to go, right, okay, is that an inquiry coming through to the website? Oh, someone's offering me a piece of stock. Do you know what I mean? It's so easy to be checking what the latest thing is that's coming. You sat with your family and you're looking at that going, what's come through about the business, what's email has come through, what so you just got to be able to turn it off. You've got to be able to do that, put it down somewhere, and these things will sort themselves out. My wife was saying the other day, I was getting a message from a customer at 10:30 at night going, "The car you sold me is broken, James. I'm not happy." And she's like, "Why are you even looking at it? It's 10:30 at night. You shouldn't even be looking at that."
Exactly, yeah. But we do though, don't we?
You do, yeah, you do. But I know for some people, it's just hard not to switch off. I mean, I honestly, to be in fairness to myself, it's probably because I haven't got the sort of what's the expression? I haven't got the risk. I haven't got the ability to deal with risk like people like you, Scott, and She-Cab, where you just the level of risk you're prepared to take. I like a nice big chunk of cash in the bank account and feel within comfort zone. I mean. And if I get to a certain amount, I'm kind of like, I want to sell those cars quickly and put the money back in the bank account, so I know exactly what I've got. But whereas realistically, it should be like invest in more stock, invest in more staff.
Yeah, the money in the bank's no good, is it?
No, exactly. It's doing nothing there really at all. And I challenge myself with that. I think what's the point in having it now? I'm not getting any interest on it. It should be in a piece of stock instead.
It's actually devaluing, isn't it?
It's devaluing, yeah.
The money in the bank, yeah.
It's all about your risk appetite. How big you get in this game is all about your risk appetite, isn't it?
I find with me, I think I've grown the business just mainly because I get bored. I always look for that new challenge, or it might be like, oh, let's open a body shop, or let's open another workshop, or just something to keep me focused. Because I think the actual process of buying and selling a car is quite boring. You buy it, you prepare it, and you sell it, and you're like. I mean, you get the odd car and you think, oh, that's a nice looking car, or we've sold that and we might have got a nice profit or whatever out of it. But the actual process is a bit like, I don't know, I find it boring even going to the auctions and buying cars when we used to go to the auctions. It's just
really,
the process is just a bit. So I try and do something else.
That's really interesting because that's really interesting. Are you into fixing cars up? Did you ever fix cars up yourself and play around?
I'm terrible with like hands-on like mechanics or anything like that. I'm weird, and I've said this before on the podcast. I don't follow sport. I don't really do anything like that. I don't dislike it. It just doesn't, like football, for instance. It doesn't. I'm
the same with football.
Yeah, it doesn't click with me. Whatever reason.
No,
but
not at all.
Yes, but me, I think what drives me is just trying to. It's not necessarily about the money. I think it's more about the trying to. I'm in the middle of trying to buy another business, which I know nothing about, which is an absolute fortune, but it's got potential to make an absolute fortune. So I'm busy trying to do that, which I don't know why. Like Jane, my wife says, why are you doing that? Why bother? Why put yourself through the stress? And I don't know. It's just I find it interesting.
See, I think that's the thing with so for me, I like the process of doing a car up. I would quite happily do all the cars up myself. I would, right, like this afternoon, I'd quite happily be rolling around underneath my Firebird or stripping my Ital down and rubbing the bodywork down and prepping the bodywork and changing the suspension out. And I love the working on cars. And in fact, my biggest regret with the size of the business now is I don't get a chance to really do it at all like I did before. But yeah, I mean, like if a car comes, I love a car comes in, and that's probably what I like the older stuff as well. Like if I bought stuff that was nearly new, that was mint, and didn't need anything, and I was just going to give it to a wheel guy to refurb, it probably wouldn't interest me that. You get me in a faded old car, and I make it look $1 million, and someone comes along with $4,000, and they're getting a car that looks like mint. I love that process.
But you see, because you like that and you don't have to do it. That's like a hobby for you, so that'll drive you on to do it because you enjoy doing it. And we had on the podcast, I think last week, Tom, and he obviously goes to the gym a lot. He's got massive arms, and I go to the gym. We go to the gym at the same time in the morning. I said to him, I says, "Do you enjoy going to the gym?" Because I personally don't. If you could take a tablet and not have to go to the gym again for the rest of your life, I'd be happy, because I'd rather just chill out in bed in the morning, have a cup of tea, rather than get up at 4:30 and go to the gym. But it's like, discipline, and we talked about that. But he loves going to the gym, and that's what he really likes doing. So I think if you like doing something, it's half the battle.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I like the gym as well. I love the gym. I love going to the gym.
Lifting weights and all that. Nah, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. but most people probably like going to the gym. They maybe like going and enjoy it.
Not me.
No, you're on my side. That's good. That's good.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I don't like going to the gym, and I don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
Depends if I've got a sale on the vending machine or not.
I like eating too much not to go to the gym. That's what it comes down to.
That's why I go. Yeah, it's for your bloods, and you're trying to keep the weight up and things like that. But the actual thought of going and like that time in the morning lifting weights, and that's not for me. But I do it.
I do actually think the perfect person to sell cars is someone that isn't into cars. I think you've got the right idea. I think because I probably over prep. I probably think things too much on cars. And that's probably why I've got a unit full of toys, because I shouldn't have. That space that I'm paying for should be with stock that I'm making money out of, not toys. So I think the industry probably is a bit easier if you just see them as a commodity, something to make the money out of. It probably is, because you won't then just buy things with your heart, which I tend to do a lot of.
I do think though, Chops, after a while, I mean, obviously you've been doing it, around 5 or 6 years, do you say? Something like that?
Yeah.
I do think maybe someone might start out that way, and eventually, I mean, I've been at the job 20 odd years now, and I'm like, I can't stand cars. I hate them. They're a commodity, like you say, they're a commodity to me. Like someone goes, "Oh, look at this. So do you like that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a car. It's got 4 wheels. It looks like the last 3,000 we've bought and sold." It's just, they just don't interest us in whatsoever.
I love cheap cars. I don't know what it is. If I can get a car for £100 or £200, I bloody love it. I don't know why. I just absolutely love it. And I would spend way too much time on that car as well. I'd bring it back here and I would just valet the living bejesus out of it, machine polish it, DL the engine bay, do the bits of paint on. I don't know why. I just love that sort of. I don't know what it is. I kind of look at the car as like some old dog that's been rescued off the street. Do you know what I mean? Like a rescue dog, and they get them, and they in those videos, and they clean them all up, don't they? And they shave the hair off them, and they clean their teeth, and they do everything, clip their nails, and that's what I feel about cars.
Yeah, I wish I was that more way inclined to be that way about cars, to have more of an interest in cars, especially running a car sales business. But I suppose it doesn't matter though. You're into it, I'm not. Scott's really not into it. We're still all doing the same thing, aren't we? It's a bit. I mean, for me, it's a means to an end more than anything. I mean, don't get us wrong. I enjoy the industry. I mean, I love talking to other car dealers.
I enjoy it, I think.
Love doing these podcasts. I love anything to do with business or, buying and selling stuff. That is great. But you could replace cars with, insert another item. Dogs, cats, keys, pens, phones, whatever it may be. It would all be the human interaction and the business play that I enjoy. But the cars is just a means to an end.
I was talking to somebody the other week and they said, what do you do for a living and all that? And I said, and it's a funny one because you say you're a car dealer. I normally say I'm a dodgy car dealer just for the joke. But they said, I'm a car dealer. And they said, how long have you been a car dealer for? And I said, well, I've had the garage for 15 years. But then I was thinking about it. How long have I, what's the time scale on being a car dealer? Because for years, I never said I was a car dealer. Because when I first came in the industry, I wasn't a car dealer and I had no experience of the motor trade. So then when you go at the auctions and you see these car dealers who've done it for years and years, 10, 20 years experience, who are proper car dealers, I felt as though, well, I'm not worthy. I'm not like, I shouldn't be classing myself as a car dealer, but that's my silly head, how I used to work. And then, after a period of time, even for years, I used to say, nah, I'm not really a car dealer. I would do it for a living, but I'm not. But then I think I've done it 15 years now, so I would probably say I definitely am now a car dealer because that's what I do. But the way I thought about things, it was because I didn't have the experience, didn't know what I was doing. And these guys who'd done it for years, I think, well, they were the proper lads, That was maybe the way I thought about
You're
it.
probably more an entrepreneur, though, aren't you? I would have said.
Well,
Than
maybe
specifically peg yourself as a car dealer.
Maybe, but yeah, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I don't know. Possibly.
But it is one of those things when people ask you what you do for a job. It is you do hesitate up.
Yeah. You shame away from it, don't you?
You do.
My friend doesn't. I've got a friend, my mate Ginger Frank. When we're down the pub, he'll always if we meet someone new, he'll always say, "Oh, if you need a car, he's a car dealer. You should just speak to him." I'm like, no. I for starters, I don't want to sell anything to anyone in my local pub. Not in a million years.
It's a
and I'm
rule
not
I've got.
desperate to sell anyone cars. You don't need to tell everyone that I'm a car dealer. I'm not that bad for sales that I need you to tell everyone. And I'd rather you didn't. I'd rather you didn't say it at all because it's just this. You either get two reactions. You get people immediately coming out with the stupid stuff about being dodgy, or you get a person going, "Oh, I've just bought a car on X, Y, Z," and they just go into some monologue that's boring as hell.
That's the worst. That's the worst when it gets mentioned what you do, and then someone go, "Oh, what's my car worth?" Then and I'm like, "Oh, mate, piss."
Yeah, not interested at
all.
all.
The worst one than that, it's when you're speaking to when you're at the gym and the sauna and things like that, you speak to random people and then you get into conversations and it's when they say, "You saw you Redgate Lodge," and they go, "I bought a car from you," and you're like, "Shit. Was it, so you like candidly say like, "Was it all right?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, it was all right." And what happened with that? And then you can get over it. But I don't know if they'd actually say, "No, it was a pile of shit," or whatever problems they had. There was one guy last week. He said he came to see you and he didn't buy it. And I says, "Oh, why was that?" And he says it was too modified. It was like a Focus ST and it'd been like modified. He wanted like a standard one because it was too noisy for him. But that was the only thing though. But yeah, you worry when you sell a car to somebody.
I can't think what people at the gym must think I do for a job because the shit boxes I drive because I'm that guy as well. Like if a car comes in with 3/4 of a tank of fuel, I'll drive it till it's down to a quarter.
Free fuel.
I will drive, and it doesn't matter whether it's a 2006 beat up Micra or whatever it is. I'll drive that. Yeah. My daughter's like, I'll pick her up from college, and she'll send me a message earlier in the day and go, "What car will you be in today?" And whether I pick her up or not is decided on what car I'm going to be driving.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you try to judge me, my income off of what car I drove, you'd get it so wrong, so badly wrong.
I remember years and years ago when Billy Mill Roundabout, the lads will know Billy Mill Roundabout, but I was driving along there and it was a Seata Rosa. It came in part exchange with an automatic gearbox, 3/4 of a tank of fuel. I'm like, I'm taking that home tonight, black, but it had pink fairy dust written all over it. I'm still taking it home like. It's got 3/4 of a tank of petrol in it.
Yeah.
I think I might have drawn the line at that one. That might have been the one I drew the line at.
Yeah.
So obviously, next, what's the plans? I know we've already touched on it, and that you're quite happy with doing what you're doing. Is it just a continuation of that? Have you got anything new coming up? Anything at all with expanding the site or making the site a bit prettier? Or, anything on the horizon?
Well, Joe convinced me to chip my entire yard, which is a good move because that was initially just mud. And if you look at the photos on my website now, they look so much better now with the hedgerow in the background and the cars parked on the gravel. So that's good. Obviously, I've taken on the new units now. To a certain extent, I don't think with the kind of value of cars I do that I need to start putting down nice flooring and putting hexagon lighting up on the ceilings and all that kind of thing. I don't think people expect that. And I don't think it would be money well spent.
Do you not think that would make you stand out at that price point though? If someone's went to see 3 or 4 cars all the similar price, then they're going to like backstreet garages and horrible yards, and then they turn up at your place and it's all lovely,
Are they going to pay me any more for the car for that though? That's the question.
No, but it could just tip them over the edge as to where the site they buy one from. Don't know.
It's Yeah, it's interesting because I used to do things like walk around videos for every car. I used to spend my time doing I do a detailed walk around video for every car, and other people didn't. And recently, I've stopped doing that because I sold just as many cars without doing the walk around videos, and it's almost you start to realize how much you can trim back on, how much you really need to be doing to shift the stock. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. I mean, and I feel bad that I haven't got some kind of 5-year plan. I mean, basically, my idea with this business, my idea when I was in the corporate world was always I would get to a point where I could set up a car business, and I thought I'd do classic cars. And that would be because you know what that corporate world's like. If you start turning sort of 60 in the corporate world in sales, you're thrown away. You know you're going to be binned off by the new 30-year-old MD that comes in or CEO that comes in. So my plan was ride that out and then have my own business that no one could fire me from, and I just trade classic cars. So I think you know if I looked forward to what my retirement plan would be to sell the stuff I get like have a small unit and just buy a load of interesting cars and just trade them, being grumpy old get-to-goes. You take them as they are, mate. They're an old classic. You take them as they are. My mate Mike in Wales, who does classics, he's formed for a sale of his cars. How it's legal, I have no idea, but yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, that's the kind of plan. I mean, a lot of people have said move into newer stuff, move into newer, lower mile stuff. You'll have less hassle off it. But I think I'm addicted to quick turnaround. I don't have stuff sit around for months on end. It has to go in and out really quickly. And I've tried that a few times, and it just doesn't felt like my wheelhouse. Do you know what I mean? Doing the newer stuff. So I guess that would be the progression. If I want to increase volume, I think I might have to start do that because there's a limit to how many of these small cheap cars I can get in. And now I've got an entire car park that I really need full to make the investment in doing that worthwhile, really. So I might have to expand slightly, start to retail a lot of cars I was trading before. Because as a one-man band, trading cars can be fairly profitable, can't it? If you've got low overheads, and you're on your own, and you literally it's gone out the door and you don't have to worry about it afterwards. It can be a quick way of making cash. It's great for cash flow, isn't it? And you know, if you buy the cars right, you can make decent money out. Sometimes I can make retail money out of trading a car. So there was a lot of my business every month was just trading stuff out. But I think if I'm going to lose my main dealer relationship, then I'm going to have to retail more cars to make up for that loss of income. I'm going to have to get the full retail value out of them. So probably retailing a bit more stock. But yeah, no, I have no great 5-year plan going forwards, unfortunately. I got finance because I thought maybe I'll do finance. Because I speak to you guys, so I know a lot of you guys make a lot of money out of add-ons. Like when you do your finance, your extended warranties. I sell no extended warranties at all. I don't do any finance. So I don't have any additional income on my sales, any value adds at all. And I did try finance for a bit, but I just found it a balls ache. I guess, again, on my own, like filling in the paperwork, sending it all off and all that kind of guff. And I hear these horror stories from you guys, like say how, you know, every time someone gets a car on finance, they seem to use it as an opportunity to beat you over the head with if they have a problem with the car months later on.
Just a part of doing business, you know, a lot in volume anyway. In finance, you just got to take the pain and hope, you know, hopefully the pain's only a small percentage of, you know, the goodness coming back. I mean, my business just, you know, couldn't survive without finance. We're 100% finance penetration. Every single deal that we do is on finance. And I know a lot of people won't believe that, but it's true. You know, everything that we do, marketing wise, every penny that we spend is spent on advertising the fact that we get people finance, you know, and get them the best rates, or the, you know, people who've got poor credit, we'll get them into a car. But it comes with, you know, you couldn't run the business that I've got as a one-man band, because the volume of finance applications that we get, that we've got to troll through, you wouldn't get the time to do anything else. I mean, we've got like systems in place that send automated WhatsApp messages, text messages, emails, you know, what on the phone. I've got 2 girls in the office who are constantly just hitting the phone all the time, just trawling through the process of finance. And that's just our little niche, you know, I suppose, how we work. It's a totally different business model from what you've got, James. But I've been where, you know, in your business model, I used to just run a smaller garage on my own, you know, and you know, I wouldn't be, the only thing I wouldn't be doing is fixing cars because I haven't got the know-how, but, you know, running around, buying them, picking them up, dropping them off, taking them for paint work, taking them to the here, there and everywhere, and selling them myself, advertising them myself, been there and done that. And to be honest with you, it's enjoyable, you know, it is enjoyable that everything's on your shoulders. But just as the business has grew naturally, it's just got a bit of a big animal, and you've just got to keep feeding it. And I mean, I'm at that point now, and I imagine Scott's really really overloaded at that point. You're like on the hamster wheel, and you can't really get off it. You know, I would love to just be able to I think to myself sometimes, you know what it is? I would just love to take 6 months off, you know, and just bugger off somewhere around the world. But like, you can't stop once the wheels are turning, once those, you know, the wheels are in motion, you can't get off that track.
And when you try to get out, it pulls you back in.
Yeah, when you try to get out, it pulls you back in. But I suppose someone like yourself, James, you know, if you had a little bit of pocket money sat there and you thought, oh well, I'm just going to shut up shop for a few months, you could do that, you know, which I'd love to be able to have the opportunity to do. But it's just, I suppose, you know, as I get a bit older, I might change how I do things and go back to where we started. I'm sure there's lots of dealers out there who've started small, went big, and then went back small again and ramped it down. But that is one of the things I love about the motor trade. And I've said it again a load of times on the pods. There's just so many ways to skin a cat. You know, I'm doing large volumes of finance applications. You don't do any finance, but at the end of the day, we're both selling cars. You know,
Yeah.
You're running YouTube channels. I'm running Facebook ads. Scott's heavily on Auto Trader. It's
Can I ask you, James, on that, the Auto Trader? It's always the classic. Have you got cars on Auto Trader?
I have currently, but like last 2 months, I sold pretty much all my cars without any Auto Trader adverts at all.
Really?
All of Facebook Marketplace and word of mouth.
Good.
I think I gave Auto Trader maybe £100 last month
Really?
out of 30 odd cars. So yeah, I spend very little with Auto Trader because, like I say, the kind of price point on that Facebook Marketplace works really well. And like I say, I just get I get an awful lot of word of mouth. I have people turn up every single day that have been recommended. Normally first time car for their kid. Or just recommendation. Yeah, I mean, it's so much of it is just word of mouth locally.
Really?
I mean, obviously, I'm lucky to a certain extent. How many car traders have I got around me? Well, the one down the road's closed. The nearest one is probably half an hour in that direction, and then you've got the main dealers in the main town. There's not a lot of people, and like you were talking about earlier, Stephen, there's not a lot of people that are able to do cars at this price point anymore. The competition that's dropped locally is the ones that were doing cars at my price point. My nearest competitor for these type of cars is now in the sort of 7K plus range for his cars. He hasn't got anything on his forecourt, the kind of price range I have. So I'm lucky to a certain extent like that. If you want a car that kind of price range, I'm probably one of the only people within an hour radius or so that you could buy a car from this price point. So
that's good.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, obviously that is countered by I've got a smaller marketplace because I haven't got as many people around here. So, you know, it balances out. Obviously, you guys might live in bigger cities where you've got a huge number of people. I haven't got that many people around here. But yeah, so Auto Trader, I spend very little with. And, you know, and some people might know I put some videos out about Auto Trader because you guys inform me as how much they try and rinse you for costs wise, you know, and these eternal price hikes all the time. And I do think it's time for people to sort of start to look outside of Auto Trader a little bit. And I'm not just talking about motors and eBay and all that kind of stuff. I say that's why you should be putting, you know, time into you think how much people spend on their Auto Trader, like the bigger guys, you know, £20,000, £15,000. You can get someone straight out of university who's just studied social media or whatever courses there are available. You might be able to start them at £2,000 a month, £2,500 a month, and they can create real local awareness for you. Get you, you know, depending on what you're selling, whether you want local awareness or national awareness, whether it's finance you're pitching on, they could be getting all this stuff out on all these, you know, on the TikTok, on the Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and a lot of people lose faith very early on because they don't get the viewing numbers they think they need to get out of it. But, you know, you don't need so many cars to pay for that, really, do you? And you just got to keep plugging away at it, and it'll start to build.
Yeah, I beat the same drum all the time. All the time. It's totally true. Totally true. Listen, James, we ask everyone who comes on, if you've got any advice for any aspiring young chops, future chops.
Future chops.
So what they're thinking of coming into the car trade or starting out?
Just starting out, you know, maybe they're working at at a job in the motor trade and they fancy going alone, or maybe
Oh yeah.
maybe they do something completely different and they're in the corporate world like you are, and they just fancy, they've always liked working with cars or enjoying cars, and they want to get into doing something with cars. Just any sort of tidbits of wisdom that you could give to that one person that might be watching, thinking about it.
Well, the big one is don't buy projects. That's the big one straight away. I mean, there's a temptation, isn't there, to buy a cheap car? That, you know, it's really, really cheap, but it needs work. It's got problems that other people haven't been to sort, and you think, oh yeah, the easiest cars to flip are the ones that have just had an MOT that's already advisory free, that don't need any paintwork, and you might not make quite as much margin on them, but you could literally get it home, give it a wash, get it up for sale, and get it out the door straight away. So don't go looking for projects, because they're very time consuming. So if you do have to do the paint and you have to do the wheels, and you can do that stuff yourself, you could have flipped another 2 or 3 cars in that time if you were buying them, you know, the right cars in the right place. Stick to simple stuff. It's always nice to buy stuff you're interested in, sports cars, you know, high-end prestige, but there is always a market for a small hatchback with a small CC petrol engine that's affordable on road tax, that's affordable on insurance. Go for 5 doors, don't buy 3 doors. You know, if you want easy sales, that kind of thing, don't buy flat reds, buy in nice colours, buy the non-offensive whites and the blues and stuff like that. So yeah, if you were starting out and you want the safest bet, go and buy the cleanest hatchbacks you can with small petrol engines, because they don't have a lot to go wrong on. They're simple. You're avoiding DPFs, EGRs, dual mass flywheels. Don't buy the ones with the buy the earlier stuff that doesn't have radar on it and doesn't have, you know, all these other components that are likely to be costly. Just present it as well as you can. Buy it as in good a condition as you can. Try and find it privately. People think auctions are they don't they? People think auctions are like the be all and end all of buying cheap cars, but auction cars aren't actually that cheap. You know, by the time you've added the fees and the transport, if you go and find something being advertised locally, privately, and you just go and haggle really well, if that person has advertised that car, and like you said, they've already put it in for an MOT, and it was advisory free, and they had it serviced quite recently, and it's in really clean condition, and you can make 500 quid out of it by just haggling. You know, you turn up and you chip them down a little bit, and you just do better photos than they did and put it up for slightly higher. That's probably the easiest money you can make, isn't it? Than trying to find something that needs a load, you know, find something that's a bit of a project, needs a load of work. You think God, I've got like flipping 2 or 3K across that, but then it sits for months trying to get fixed and no one knows what the problem with it is. So yeah, that's where I would get started on it. Keep it simple, stupid, isn't it? That's the golden rules. And if you can just run it as a sideline along your current job, do it. Once you start taking on the overheads of units and paying VAT on sales, the profitability starts to go down. The volume has to go through the roof. So, you know, if you really, really do hate your job, make the move. But if you can do it alongside, just go, you know, do that instead. Just do a little bit off your driveway.
Agree.
Fantastic. And James, if anyone is not familiar with your YouTube channel and that they haven't been along for the ride yet, and the fancy watching along now that they've seen you on the DealerPod, where can they find you? How do they find you on YouTube?
Just search Chops Garage. There's only one Chops Garage out there, luckily enough for everyone. Just search up Chops Garage in Google, and it'll come up with the Facebook, come up with the Instagram, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the other piece of advice, obviously, is I missed just then, is get involved with everyone. I mean, all the guys in YouTube, you know, most of us are small enough still that if you message them and ask for a bit of advice, you know, email them, whatever, they'll help you out. And if you get into chats like this, and we're like, say, we're in WhatsApp groups, and you know, we've got a reputation of being tough people, haven't we, car dealers, for being not wanting to give away information, not wanting to share information with each other, being hard nosed. But I've not met anybody in the trade yet. And let's face it, plenty of people could take offence at my YouTube channel, giving away, a lot of people say I'm giving away the secrets and talking about the margins and that. But I've never found a car dealer yet that wasn't happy to have a chat, give you some advice. And it doesn't matter, you know, everyone's got something you didn't think of as well. That's the other thing. There's always something they didn't think of. They've got a process or a way of finding stock or dealing with a situation. You know, they'll always help you out if you've got a difficult customer, that kind of thing. So try and get yourself involved in the community as much as possible, and just get out there asking questions. And I've not found a dealer yet that isn't willing to, you know, bar maybe give you their main dealer contact. Other than that, they're pretty much open book to give you information and help you out.
Yeah, well, I mean, how good's that WhatsApp group that we're in? It's
Brilliant.
great, isn't it?
Good.
Yeah,
you're tapping into advice from people that have been doing this for so long, and like I say, most people start out fairly small and you build up from there, don't they? And they've learned a lot of. I always say, people ask me about cars and what cars should I buy, and the consumers ask for what cars should I buy, and I say I've had the most expensive education in the world. I've spent millions on cars to know what you should and shouldn't buy, and what is and isn't going to go wrong. And that's only by making mistakes. So hopefully, if you start asking around, you'll avoid spending quite as much having the same education, because these guys have just got such valuable knowledge, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Listen, James, I really appreciate your time. Really glad that we've got you on. I'll be honest with you, we could talk to you for another hour, but we, because we've had a few stops in between recording this, we've ran over time, but we'd love to get you back on at some point, mate.
No, that'd be brilliant. I appreciate you having me on, guys.
Yeah, definitely. And for anyone follow along, if you do want to find James on YouTube, make sure you search up Chops Garage. And we'd really appreciate it as well if you want to like and subscribe on this video to keep the videos rolling. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, James. Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.